And it's down the road we go on this Monday, the 7th day of August 2017. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Boyd. Do I need a haircut? Kuntz alongside our news director, Steve. Don't mess with me here. Good morning, Steve.
He's a shave, too.
Yeah, no, just a haircut.
Just a haircut, okay.
Happy Monday. We can't trust Mondays. We don't know why. There's something about Mondays. You just can't trust that day. But we're here. We're going to work. We're just not going to work real hard. Steve will have the latest news here in just a couple of minutes. Lots of things to touch on, including the latest on the fire up in the Mansfield, Bridgeport area.
Yeah, in that general Highway 17 corridor area, yeah.
There's mostly good news on that, by the way. We'll talk about that. The air quality alert still going on. It's in effect through Wednesday at noon, but my guess is this is going to be extended even further. This entire week, haze and smoke, haze and smoke, haze and smoke. Right now, the air quality is at 173. That's the latest reading we have at the Department of Ecology's site, which is at the corner of 5th and Western in Wenatchee. That is unhealthy, and it's going to be that way, Steve, looks like all week.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, what kind of an impact is this smoke and poor weather having on our apple crop?
Good point.
We'll check in. In fact, if there are any fieldmen out there that can tell us about what kind of impacts it might have, give me a call here at NCW Live News.
Yeah, you make a good point. You're pretty smart. We should have you the news director.
Well, if anything, I would imagine since it did lower the temperatures a little bit, that they wouldn't worry about sunburn.
Yeah, that's
at least
true.
on the fruit. And I don't know whether it's going to have an impact maybe on the size of the fruit or whatever, but
maybe it'll have that nice smoky flavor.
Maybe it will, yeah.
The apples will. And it's funny you bring that up because we only hit 93 yesterday. Of course, we had that heat advisory for most of last week because if it wasn't for the smoke and the haze, we would have been in triple digits almost all of last week. We never got to 100, as a matter of fact. Although it's still going to, again, sunny being a relative term. If the smoke wasn't here, it would be sunny. But it's going to be hazy and smoky, and it's just, if that's a word, look that one up, pretty much all week long. We got sports. There you go. Sports, though, for the Wenatchee Apple Sox, they're not going to make the playoffs. They gave it a good run. Their season will come to an end tonight. They still have to do a makeup game, by the way, with Corvallis. We'll talk about that when we do sports. So there will be baseball, we assume, at Paul Thomas Senior Field tonight. There's a possibility. They have some scenarios that don't involve the Apple Sox, but does involve Corvallis, so they need to play the game, even though the air quality isn't going to be specifically good.
So we can play a spoiler role into the process.
Yeah,
okay.
in a certain respect. It's all about seeding in the playoffs. We'll talk about all that. Mariners split a doubleheader yesterday. We have Today in History, the obscure holiday of the day today, and a whole bunch more on this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live from Studio 7. Let's take you around the Wenatchee Valley, North Central Washington, with a view we're too familiar with. Here we are, Steve.
No matter the camera, the image is the same.
Yeah,
right?
it's exactly right. Normally, of course, on any other normal day, you can see Birch Mountain clear as a bell above Sunny Slope. Not today. Again, not today. That is the affectionately called cross camera. Let's see what Leavenworth looks like this morning. This camera's up there pretty high. This is right at the entrance to the Tumwater Canyon. Doesn't look as bad, does it?
Bad's bad.
Bad is bad.
Different degrees of bad.
So, somewhere down there is the Bavarian village of Leavenworth. This will give you a really good idea. This is the Waterville camera, Steve, pointing up the Columbia River. Yuck, look at that. Yeah, that's the Columbia down there. That would be basically, you can see Highway 97A down there. This is the Waterville camera pointing up the Columbia River. It gives you a good idea of what they're dealing with.
It's Canada's carbon footprint.
Yeah, Canada's carbon footprint. And finally, to the monitor camera, looking to beautiful Kashmir. And again, it's just kind of hazy and smoky. The high pressure ridge, Steve, that's just well entrenched. It's this big dome. It's shifted a little bit. It's actually right over Vancouver Island. But again, it's so big and it's so well entrenched that there's other systems that they're just bumping into it and they're just going around it.
As I understand, though, this another cold front's coming.
Maybe Friday.
At least they'll clear the skies and the Puget Sound.
Maybe Friday. When it's that far in advance, it's basically guesswork. They have a really good idea for the next couple of days. And it's pretty accurate. Once you get to, say, Thursday or Friday, it's kind of like, this might happen.
Right.
That's about as good as you can do. The National Weather Service, they do great work. Let's do your weather forecast and it looks something like this. Now you see the sunshine. That's because we don't have a graphic that shows haze and smoke, or else
it almost looks like that sun, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's almost exactly what.
Orange hue.
Yeah, it's a blood red sun. So there's your forecast. Again, the air quality alert is in effect until noon on Wednesday. No surprise at all if they extend that because, again, the wildfires in eastern Washington, British Columbia, and Montana, smoke goes up, no place for it to go, comes right back down again. Of course, since we live in a valley, it can settle even lower on the valley floor than it would be in some locations. So again, the air quality alert is still in effect. Widespread haze, widespread smoke all the way through Thursday night. Friday, we might catch a break. Again, it's just a little too far out down the week to really give you an accurate idea of what the National Weather Service thinks is going to happen. But again, if you have any kind of respiratory issues, asthma, the elderly, infants, just it's not a very good idea
Well,
to
even
be
if you're
outside.
healthy, and think of the pets too.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Once again, our WAQA value is at 173. That is unhealthy. For a great deal last week, it was hazardous, which is even worse. But still, we have some of the worst air quality in the nation going on right now in little old Wenatchee Town, USA. Lots of news to get to. Steve was a busy guy, and at 6 minutes after the hour, we're going to take a 1-minute break. And when we come back, Steve Hare will have your Monday morning headlines. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar brought to you by First Choice Collision Center. Saturday, August 12th, head to Silvara Vineyards in Leavenworth and enjoy the classical music of Charlie Solbrick from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. Seating is limited, so come early. Also happening August 12th, singer-songwriter Sean Mullins will be performing songs off his new album at Icicle Creek Center for the Arts at 7 p.m. For more information and other community events, visit ncwlife.com.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's blueberry picking season and King 5 named us the second best destination restaurant in Washington State. So toss the family in the cruiser and get on out to Blueberry Hills for the best down-home scratch country cooking you've had in years. And don't forget our award-winning pies. We're fun, family-friendly, and a delicious destination year-round. We're open every day from 8 to 3, serving breakfast and lunch all day. So come on out to Blueberry Hills.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Well, good morning and welcome to our Monday edition of NCW Live News. Well, another day, another fire. Well, the residents up in the Mansfield area are waking up this morning to some good news on the wildland firefighting front. The Hayes Road fire is now 90% contained. Crews are starting to demobilize. Now, the brush fire started Friday afternoon, spread to over 2,300 acres at last estimate, fueled by extremely dry and windy conditions. Now, as of this morning, all Level 1 evacuation advisories have been lifted. The Type 3 management team that took over control of the blaze when it went to state mobilization Saturday is preparing to turn it back over to local fire districts today. Now, no homes were damaged. There were no injuries reported in that fire. Its cause is still under investigation. The fire weather forecast, as we heard Dan earlier, calls for continued hot, dry, and smoky conditions this week. And again, a burn ban remains in effect, folks. So please take care with any open flames because it is just tinder dry out there, and it won't take much to get something going again. Wenatchee's Director of Community Development was in Washington, D.C. last week to testify before a U.S. Senate committee. Steve King was invited by Ranking Committee member Senator Maria Cantwell to participate in a hearing on the topic of wildfires and how the use of better technology can improve the way fires are fought and prevented. King explained in his testimony how he's created wildfire risk maps to change city codes for development in wildland-urban interface areas.
Risk mapping lets you simulate a disaster without actually having to go through the disaster. It informs us on how to implement our codes, our wildland urban interface codes. It tells us the effectiveness of risk reduction strategies such as vegetation management. It provides us information on how to protect critical infrastructure like water systems or communication systems. And then the technology is changing and will continue to change. For example, there's a lot of studies being done right now on ember transport, especially from structures. And so risk mapping ultimately will incorporate those that new science and technologies to help us grow as the science becomes available.
Now, Steve went on to say that after developing a risk map for the areas around Wenatchee following the 2015 Sleepy Hollow fire, that they're now working on a comprehensive risk map with local fire agencies for Chelan County. King's testimony was in support of an effort by Senator Cantwell to pass legislation that she's authored to give firefighters access to that new technology. Grant County Sheriff's Department reports the death of a Wilson Creek man in a one-car accident Sunday afternoon. 47-year-old Thomas Veenstra was dead at the scene. after he crashed his Dodge Challenger sometime late Saturday afternoon on Road Q Northwest. Sheriff Tom Jones reports Beanstra was traveling at a high rate of speed when he lost control of the vehicle before it struck an embankment and then rolled over onto its top. Also, 6 people were injured yesterday in a 2-car accident in Soap Lake. The crash closed State Route 17 for several hours. State troopers reported it happened when 2 vehicles collided at the intersection of State Routes 17 and 28 shortly before 6 o'clock Saturday. 6 people, all from the Puget Sound area, were transported to Columbia Basin Hospital for treatment. Video there provided to us by Washington State Patrol Trooper Brian Moore. Troopers say charges are pending. And a groundbreaking ceremony Friday afternoon in Wenatchee officially sets in motion construction on a new Hilton Garden Inn along the city's Riverside Drive. The project's architect, Art Wuwv, explains what the new hotel will offer.
Some of the facts about the project are it's a 4-story hotel. It's got 176 rooms. It's got a large conferencing center for 100 plus people for events and weddings and other events. It's got a full service restaurant. It has a bar. It's really kind of a unique product for this area. It's going to service a lot of people, not just the guests. It's a great kind of synergy with the marketplace, with the edges. And it's respectful of the river, it's respectful of downtown, and I just think it's going to be a real success for the developer and the city.
And again, construction on that new Hilton Garden Inn will begin immediately on a 3-acre vacant lot right just north of the Pybus Public Market. And they're saying it'll take between 16 and 18 months to complete, Dan. But you know, Wenatchee's arrived when they now have a Hilton hotel.
And they
Pretty
needed
cool,
it.
huh?
They needed it. They're talking about there is a shortage of hotel space in this town.
Yeah, and it'll help, I'm sure, the convention center with some of its events to have that added space too.
Companies like the Hilton aren't going to build a hotel where one is not needed.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely
So
not.
if
They
the
do
market-
their,
if the
they
market
do their
demands it,
market
they'll build it.
research. You
Yep.
bet, you bet.
So what are we working on?
Well, coming up, we have a preview of tomorrow's Chelan County Commissioners meeting when a final public hearing is set to be held on new zoning rules for the marijuana industry here locally. Also following, of course, the investigation into the fatal police shooting here in Wenatchee last week. And we'll be reporting on any new developments in that probe as it continues.
One last word on the weather. As we mentioned before, the air quality alert has been extended all the way through Wednesday. It probably will go even further than that with widespread haze and smoke all week long. There is no precipitation at all in the forecast, none. Just a slight chance of some light sprinkles, maybe a thunderstorm way off in the distance, Friday night, maybe Saturday. So this is now marking today. This will be 2 months since we had any measurable rain in north central Washington or Wenatchee Valley. 2 months is a long time without a raindrop, nothing.
Nothing.
So that long dry spell continues.
And I would imagine that this heat spell will be followed by possibly some pyrotechnics.
Possibly. The National Weather Service isn't saying one way or the other. It's 14 minutes after the hour. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have sports and a whole bunch more. You're watching a Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel. Cottage Inn has been a Wenatchee Valley landmark since 1940, making it one of the longest-running locally owned restaurants around. And it's better than ever. Steak, seafood, and their famous homemade desserts for dinner, wonderful lunch items, and breakfast on Sundays, all made from scratch and at an affordable price. It's no wonder the Cottage Inn has been so popular for over 75 years. Enjoy a fabulous meal today at the Cottage Inn on Easy Street in Old Station.
At Doghouse Motorsports, we ride what we sell. There's a lot we could say about the CD Spark and the CD GTI, but ultimately, the ride says it all.
"15 minutes after the hour on this Monday, the 7th day of August, 2017. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live from Studio 4 And I am Dan Coons. Sports Sunday, last day of the West Coast League's regular season, had a playoff feel to it. There are a lot of different teams in contention in both divisions for the final playoff spots. Both key games in the North Division ended in wild walk-off wins. The Bellingham Bells kept their playoff hopes alive with a 2-run ninth inning and a walk-off win over the Wenatchee Apple Sox 5-4. Port Angeles stunned Victoria with a 2-run bottom of the 11th. Also a walk-off victory. 17-16 was the final there. So, where are we? The Bells and the Lefties, by winning, they eliminated the Apple Sox. It sets up a makeup game between Corvallis and Wenatchee at Paul Thomas Senior Field today, and that'll wrap up the league's regular season. If Corvallis beats Wenatchee, Victoria and Bellingham ties for first place in the second half. Stay with me now, it gets complicated. And Victoria would advance to play Kelowna in the WCL Divisional Series based on owning the second half in-division winning percentage tiebreaker with Bellingham. The Bells would advance if the Apple Sox beat the Knights, as the Bells own the North's three-way tiebreaker if Bellingham, Victoria, and Wenatchee all finish the season deadlocked at 15 and 12. Now in the South, Yakima Valley punched its playoff ticket by losing to Corvallis as the Knights clinched the second half with a 7-3 home victory over the Pippins. Yakima Valley posted the next best overall record, 28-26 in the South. That earns them a postseason berth. Now, if Corvallis were to lose to Wenatchee in its makeup game tonight and tie for first in the South with Cowlitz at 16-11, Corvallis takes the second half based on its head-to-head full season record tiebreaker advantage with the Black Bears. You still with me on this? Yakima Valley will host Game 1 of the WCL South Division Series at Yakima County Stadium on Tuesday, 7:05 p.m. first pitch. Games 2 or 3 will move to Goss Stadium on the campus of Oregon State University on Wednesday and Thursday. Of course, the Thursday game, if necessary, both games will start at 6:40. So what happened on Sunday? Wenatchee grabbed the early lead against the Bells, needing a win and a Victoria loss to make it to the playoffs. Jacob Prater's RBI base hit and Evan Johnson's RBI base hit gave Wenatchee a 2-zip lead in the top of the first. The Apple Sox added to their lead in the third, an RBI ground out by Johnson and an RBI single by Jalen Garcia. That made it 4-0 Wenatchee. Bellingham cut the lead in half over the next two frames, an RBI double by Kyle Stowers in the fourth, and then Austin Shenton's RBI single in the fifth. That made it 4-2. The Bells shaved the lead to 4-3 in the eighth on two errors by second baseman Michael Spalacy. That set things up for the ninth inning. Connor Leadholm working his fourth inning of relief. He hit the very first batter in the bottom of the ninth inning. He put him on base. 2 outs later, Austin Shenton hit a double, and that scored the runner. That tied it at 4-4. And then Chase Elig was intentionally walked to load the bases. Kyle Stowers hit a 1-2 pitch into the outfield. That scored Shenton, and that was it. Bellingham defeats Wenatchee 5-4. One more game tonight, 7:05 p.m., Paul Thomas Senior Field. I think they absolutely have to play this game regardless of the air conditions. It's host family appreciation night, by the way, and they're also going to auction off those classic Wenatchee Chiefs jerseys during the game as well. First pitch, 7:05 for the last game of the season for the Apple Sox. On the final day of the West Coast League, here's what it looks like. Here are your final scores. Port Angeles defeated Victoria 17-16 in 11 innings. The teams combining for 38 hits. Corvallis knocks off Yakima Valley 7-3. Chad Stevens 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Cowlitz knocked off Bend 13-10, and Walla Walla defeats Kelowna 15-1. There are your standings. Again, Wenatchee and Corvallis will play one game tonight at Paul Thomas Senior Field. Seattle Mariners played a couple of games in Kansas City. Of course, they were rained out on Saturday. In Game 1, a nice little Mariner victory. Nelson Cruz homered twice. Danny Valencia and Kyle Seager also homered. Seattle down KC 8-7. Cruz 3 for 5 in the game, 4 RBIs. Valencia also collected 3 hits in 5 plate appearances. The Mariners used 8 pitchers in the win, which means they didn't have anybody to pitch in Game 2. And, well, that's pretty much what happened in Game 2. Melky Cabrera hit his first home run since being traded to the Royals. Whit Merrifield and Eric Hosmer also went yard. The Royals blasted the M's in Game 2, 9-1. Seattle has the day off today to begin a 3-game series at Oakland tomorrow. Elsewhere in the American League West yesterday, there are your final scores. Minnesota knocked off Texas. Houston got the best of Toronto, and Oakland over the Angels. There are your standings. The Mariners are just now 1 game over 500 at 57-56, 15 games back at Houston, but just a game and a half back of the wild card, which of course is their best chance of making the postseason. 20 minutes after the hour, Monday, 7th day of August 2017. The obscure holiday is National Lighthouse Day. National Lighthouse Day, always celebrated on August 7th, because on August 7th, 1789, by an act of Congress, the federal government took over responsibility for building and operating all of the nation's lighthouses. The government recognized the importance of ships at sea being able to find a safe harbor, so they took over. And of course, lighthouses have saved many, many ships and many, many lives over the years. Lighthouses are now really cool. They're not really used much anymore. Through the advent of radar and GPS, lighthouses are really not necessary anymore, but they're still really, really cool. Really, really cool. National Lighthouse Days. There are all kinds of societies to preserve lighthouses. Most classic lighthouses, of course, are still preserved. Enjoy National Lighthouse Day by visiting Wenatchee's local lighthouse. I don't know if we have one outside of the good folks on South Wenatchee Avenue. It is 20 minutes after the hour today in history. It is August 7th, 2017. 235 years ago on this date, George Washington started the Purple Heart. It was called the Badge of Military Merit to honor soldiers wounded in battle. It was later changed, of course, to the Purple Heart. George Washington's image itself is on the Purple Heart. So today is the 235th anniversary of the Purple Heart. About 2 million Purple Hearts have been awarded in our nation's history. That's a lot of Purple Hearts. 53 years ago today, August 7th, 1964, the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, which really kind of got the Vietnam War going. Basically, the United States Congress gave President Lyndon B. Johnson carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do to fight the war in Vietnam. He gave him pretty much broad powers. He just kind of gave it to him. The Tonkin Gulf Resolution, the turning point for America's involvement in the Vietnam War, was passed and signed on this date 53 years ago. And 43 years ago, August 7th, 1974, Philippe Petit did that. He climbed between the North and the South Tower of the World Trade Center on a tightrope at a quarter of a mile in the air. Obviously no net. Nobody knew he was doing it. There's a fascinating documentary. It's available almost anywhere. I think Netflix has it. Just type it in. It's a great documentary, and it tells the whole story of how they snuck in there, how they had to hide the wires, how they got the wire over from one tower to the other, and then the whole stunt. He was arrested. He was charged, and he was sentenced to, well, nothing. All he had to do was go out and perform another high wire trick for charity. But an amazing achievement by Philippe Petit. Imagine doing that, walking a tight wire between the two towers of the World Trade Center. Happened on this date 43 years ago. And finally, at 22 after the hour, we have celebrity birthdays for you. They're all alive. They're all doing good, including the legendary Don Larson, the great baseball player. He's 88 years old, of course, on October 8th, 1956, during Game 5 of the 1955 World Series. 27 up, 27 down, the only perfect game in postseason history, the only perfect game in World Series history was thrown by Don Larson, who celebrates his 88th birthday today. Don Larson sold all of his Yankee memorabilia, and he started a trust account for all of his kids and grandkids to go to college. Don Larson is 88 years old today. Garrison Keillor, of course, a Prairie Home Companion. The show is no longer on the air. I miss it. It's on the air for like 30 years. Garrison Keillor, the humorist, the novelist, the short story writer. He's a great writer and radio host. Garrison Keillor enjoying retirement at the age of 75 today. Happy birthday to Garrison. Hello, Newman. Wayne Knight celebrates a birthday today. He is 62 years old today. Will always be associated, of course, as Newman on the sitcom Seinfeld. Was also in Jurassic Park and other movies. He now does most of his professional work is as a voiceover actor. If you're watching a cartoon or a television commercial or something like that, and you'll recognize that voice, you go, that sounds familiar to me. It's more often than not probably Wayne Knight. Hello, Newman, 62 years old today. And Charlize Theron, South African born, now an American citizen, of course an Academy Award winner, the actress, the producer. Charlize Theron is 42 years old today. If you know somebody who's celebrating a birthday, all you have to do is submit them to us. Go to our website, ncwlife.com. You'll see the icon for this show. Click on it. The birthday club submission form comes up. Fill it out. Don't forget to attach the photo. Very important, and we'll get your birthday on the air. Everyone is entitled to Mike Mignotti's opinion. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. And don't forget, it's Monday. That means Street Talk and other stuff will be coming your way at 10 o'clock this morning, live right here from Studio 9 in downtown Wenatchee. Mike's going to be talking about his trip to Italy, which he took a few weeks back, so don't forget about that, Street Talk and other stuff. Everyone is entitled to Mike Mignotti's opinion in just a couple of minutes. Before we get to that, special thanks to our sponsors for making this one-hour edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley possible. Our good friends at Weinstein Beverage, who distributes this fine product from Starbucks. It's called Cold Brew. Cold Brew. Now, anybody can brew a pot of coffee, put it in the fridge, cool it down, and then pour it over ice. But that's not the way you're supposed to do it. These people do it the right way. They take a very small amount of very high quality beans, and it's never brewed. It's cold brewed from the very beginning for 20 hours. It's Starbucks. Of course they're going to do it the right way. And this particular product, Starbucks Cold Brew, there are 4 to choose from, distributed in the Wenatchee Valley exclusively from our friends at Weinstein Beverage. And thanks to our friends at Highgate Senior Living, each day to the fullest. First thing you notice when you tour the Highgate campus, it feels like home. Comfortable couches, nice chairs, very well decorated, very well appropriated, great food, fantastic food. If you have dietary restrictions or specific dietary needs, of course they're going to take care of you. And if you can eat whatever you want to eat, they'll take care of you there as well. Highgate Senior Living, each day to the fullest. It's not just a slogan. They live it. They really do. 26 minutes after the hour, going to take a break. When we come back, everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
No matter what your age or ailment, when you wake up each day with a sense of purpose, life has meaning and joy.
Just wait a while, it'll get in the hole somewhere.
Helping you do this is our purpose. Highgate Senior Living, each day to the fullest.
The best thing about my life right now is
me.
Who had the reception, and now he collects the touchdown. Got on goal, Wenatchee scores. Wigan lines up a three. Yes! Oh my goodness! Figure out where the line is, where they'll cover from. West fighting on the bottom, and he got the pin. Swung on and hit hard to left field. Caught out there in left field. The shot is score! And Wenatchee Valley wins it.
On the NCW Life channel, your local TV station.
Every golfer aims to play their best, and smart golfers turn to the Golfer's Edge to get the Golfer's Edge. PGA professional Ed Payne has you covered from tee to green. You can work on your swing or play 18 in air-conditioned comfort on the golf simulator. Tanya's Corner has all the apparel the golfer needs at sale prices. And Ed can even rebuild your favorite set of clubs or custom make you a brand new set. Ask how you can qualify for a free 30-minute lesson at the Golfer's Edge on Mission between Kittitas and Yakima.
This is TV. This is TV Set Free. TV everywhere from LocalTel sets you free to watch what you want, where you want. Catch your favorite networks, including live TV, ready to watch on any web-connected device for no extra charge. That's TV Set Free. Enjoy the extra value LocalTel delivers with TV everywhere. Visit localtel.net and sign up today.
You can buy fruit almost anywhere. From first off the tree to first in your hands, Lone Pine offers seasonal fruit from their farm and around the region every day. Make Lone Pine your latte stop with coffee from Blue Star Coffee Roasters and a fresh piece of fruit pie. Take a break with a friend and order a cold micro beer or a glass of Northwest wine. Bring the whole family and enjoy a Lone Pine lunch or a fresh shake in their park-like setting. Lone Pine Fruit and Espresso on Highway 97.
Lake Chelan mailboxes find solutions and the best price for all your shipping needs, including UPS, FedEx, and the U.S. Postal Service. We offer a variety of services including quality copies of all sizes, faxing, scanning, sending and receiving email, laminating, and notarizing. Enjoy browsing through our large selection of greeting cards. Lake Chelan Mailboxes supports our military, fire victims, and our community. Come see us at the Plaza in Lake Chelan.
This is Mike, Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, gentlemen, you know what your wives and your girlfriends often complain about? Their hubbies or their boyfriends, and how you gawk at other women when you're with them. Now, what's wrong with you? Show some respect. Look, men like to look at eye candy every once in a while. I know that. But you think it's not a big deal, but to do it blatantly when you're with your woman is really derogatory to your relationship. Now, the technical scientific words for openly gawking at women when you're with your wife or your significant other is stupid. So don't do it. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
To
NCW Life News, I'm Grant Olson.
Of the NCW Life Legislative Hotline, I'm Steve Hare.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
And now, your weather forecast for north central Washington.
We're here at the downtown fire station right now.
Dry and warm weather pattern for Friday.
Considering that we're supposed to be 103 degrees today, how do you keep these guys cool?
And this just in, traffic is slowed in the Orondo area as firefighters attack a brush fire.
Right here on NCW Life News.
Reed's Marine in Manson has your boating needs covered, offering the superior Regal lineup with options from 19 to 53 feet. With the Regal Express line, you have the freedom to explore with an innovative interior and the largest headroom in its class. Don't forget the roomy cockpit with seating to fit the whole family. From 26 to 32 feet, Reed's Marine has the Regal Express to fit your needs. View our current inventory at ChelanBoat.com or stop by our Manson showroom on beautiful Lake Chelan and see the entire Regal line.
SkillSource specializes in assessing and guiding youth, adults, and laid-off workers who want to improve their skills. Here you can attend in-depth workshops to assess skills and interests, make career plans, and learn computer basics.
Learning centers provide eligible youth and adults individualized computer-assisted basic education. Vocational training is arranged with approved providers like community colleges or on the job with businesses.
Don't wait any longer. Let's get working on the future you've been dreaming about.
Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house, featuring great family dining in downtown Chelan. We've got burgers, pub fare, and the best barbecue around. Try one of our award-winning sauces made fresh here in-house. So grab the whole gang and come on down. Stormy Mountain Brewing. Beer, barbecue, friends, and beer.
Two minutes after the hour on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz, your host, alongside our news director, Steve Hare. Don't have a guest today for this Monday, Steve. This is the time of year it can be a little hard to book guests.
I'll be your guest.
You want to be my guest? You're welcome to be on my show anytime.
I can share my weekend adventure, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Save that for another time. Indeed. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the first half all over again, only we'll do it better.
There you have it.
How's that sound? Steve has your news in just a little bit. As you can tell, looking over Steve's shoulder, here we go again. Again, all week long, air quality is going to be bad. The air quality alert is in effect through Wednesday, but the forecast is calling for hazy, smoky conditions all week and into the weekend.
Miserable.
It's just, it would be beautiful if it wasn't so darn smoky.
Yeah.
Again, the high pressure ridge is centered right, it's been slowly moving up the coast. And right now, the center of the high-pressure ridge, the big dome, is over Vancouver Island. That being said, it's just so big, it's so ginormous, it doesn't really matter where it's at. It's in our general vicinity, and that is keeping any other systems that are out there, and there are systems that are out there, they're bumping into it, Steve, and they're going around it, and it's like a big, ginormous, pot with the lid on it. We can't take the lid off.
We have over 1 million acres burned up in British Columbia. This is what happens, folks.
Yeah, it's what happens.
Especially with the prevailing wind that we have here, and that's just going to bring that stuff right down into us.
And speaking of winds, and you mentioned that, nothing. Our wind is going to be 4 miles an hour today. Maybe a little gust in the afternoon.
The only wind that we saw was Friday out there on Highway 17, 30-mile-an-hour gusts that were pushing that Hayes Road fire that we'll provide you with an update on here.
In the meantime, this stuff is just going to be sticking around to us. Our air quality right now is hazardous, 173, hazardous, and it gets usually worse as the day progresses. We played golf yesterday, and it was not pleasant out there. I mean, it was just yucky. So, and I may be wrong on this, but it seems to me that the relative humidity in the afternoon hours is more than it normally is for this time of year. I think it's because of the haze and the smoke.
You're just using the weather as an excuse for poor play, that's all.
Yeah, I didn't play particularly well yesterday. Had fun, but I didn't play particularly well. Let's take you around north central Washington, the Wenatchee Valley, once again with our Valley View cameras. It's just like it was just about half an hour ago, isn't it, Steve? The cross camera there. Again, we're going to be stuck with this stuff all the way through the week. No getting around it. Let's go up to Leavenworth, check out the Bavarian Village. Again, this is the camera that's located
looking down from Tumwater Mountain.
Yep, right at the edge of Tumwater, right before you head in to the Tumwater Canyon. So that's what Leavenworth looks like today. On this Monday morning. To Waterville we go, pointing up the Columbia River.
I think they traded in the alpenhorns for foghorns today.
that's what that looks like. I mean, look how thick and hazy and nasty it is. Ugh, it's just lucky. That's the word I want to use. And finally, to monitor, looking to the west, and we say good morning to Kashmir on this Monday morning. Again, the air quality alert is in effect until noon Wednesday, but again, I would not be surprised at all if they extended it. Again, wildfire smoke, most of it is coming from the fires in British Columbia. Many fires in British Columbia is the main culprit in all this. And then we still have a couple of fires in eastern Washington and in Montana. So you combine all of that, smoke goes up, smoke goes back down.
By the way, that Diamond Creek fire that you mentioned here burning in Washington State, which is the largest right now, it's burning in a wilderness area, so there are no populated areas that are threatened by it. But again, the Diamond Creek fire now is well over 6,000 acres in size. But again, burning in the Pasayten wilderness to the northeast of us. So.
And that's very heavily timbered and very dramatic terrain.
It is.
Very difficult to fight.
A lot of dead and dying timber in that area, so that's going up in smoke, and that's added to the mix.
Yeah. Again, air quality alert is still up. It goes through Wednesday, but the forecast, and I have it right in front of me, it says smoky and hazy and smoky and hazy and smoky and hazy. Here's what it looks like. Again, we don't have a graphic for smoke and haze, so it says sunshine. Very consistent, upper 90s, upper 90s, upper 90s. Next, any kind of little bitty system, maybe Friday night. It's too far down the line for the National Weather Service to really grab a handle on it, but that's the next chance.
So where can people go for relief? Forks?
No, nothing. I have it right here. Seattle is moderate. They're okay. If you go all the way out to the coast, yes, they have good air quality. The farther north you go, Omak and Okanagan, they have worse air quality than we do, as you might imagine, but still, Wenatchee is hazardous at 173. That's not good, and it's not going to get any better.
And if you look at the map, it kind of funnels right down through central Washington.
Yeah.
So
the farther south you go, the better off you are. If you head to the Puget Sound area, their air quality is considerably better now. They're starting to get some of those offshore winds and some of that marine layer that kind of scours that out. But still, it's not the best in the world.
No.
If you really want to escape this kind of garbage, all the way to the Pacific Ocean would be where you want to go. So there you go, widespread haze, widespread smoke, highs in the mid to upper 90s. One of the things that we mentioned at the beginning of this program, because of the haze and the smoke, it has kept the temperatures down just a little bit. And by the way, if you haven't done so for your home HVAC unit, good time to change your filters out. You got to do that on a regular basis
good
now.
advice. Great advice.
They're very heavily taxed right now. First of all, most people's air conditionings are running almost constantly because of the heat, number one. And number two, it's trying to filter out all of this haze and smoke and gunk in the air. So,
and if you're having a hard time breathing, think of your pets too, the dogs and the
Good
cats. Good idea to maybe keep them indoors too.
Yeah. Again, the air quality alert is going through now at least Wednesday. So we're going to be dealing with this for 10, 12 days before perhaps some relief on the weekend. We're not ready to call that yet. Maybe by Wednesday we'll have a pretty good idea of an accurate forecast of what the weekend's going to look like. But I just want this done with, absolutely done with. 38 minutes after the hour on this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Steve Hare has your Monday morning news when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Join us for Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel. This former police sergeant is plugged into not only the world of the streets, he's an actor and connoisseur of the arts. So join Mike and his guest for, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., and Wednesdays at 5:30. It's Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel.
Wenatchee Valley College is excited to announce the application process is now open for the new 4-year nursing degree program. The new RN to BSN degree offers working nurses the opportunity to complete their bachelor's degree online in only 1 year. Students will attend face-to-face classes just 3 times each quarter. This program is perfect for nurses wishing to advance in their careers. Make healthcare your career. WVC also offers medical assistant, chemical dependency, medical lab technology, and radiology programs.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Good morning, Steve here once again, recapping our top NCW Life news stories for your Monday. And first of all, the residents up in the Mansfield area and the Waterville Plateau are waking up this morning to some good news on that wildland firefighting front. In fact, the Hayes Road fire is now 90% contained. Crews are starting to demobilize, and that's great news. The brush fire started Friday afternoon, It spread to over 2,300 acres. It was fueled by extremely dry and windy conditions. As of this morning, all level 1 evacuation advisories have now been lifted, so folks are returning to their homes. The Type 3 management team that took over control of the fire when it went to state mobilization Saturday are now preparing to turn it back over to the local fire districts. Meanwhile, no homes were damaged, which is testimony to the great work that those strike teams performed. No injuries were reported as well. The fire's cause right now still under investigation. And of course, as you heard Dan with his forecast, fire weather calls for continued hot, dry, and smoky conditions this week. Also, in a related story, Wenatchee's Director of Community Development was in Washington, D.C. Thursday to testify before a U.S. Senate committee. Steve King was invited by Ranking Committee member Senator Maria Cantwell to participate in a hearing on the topic of wildfires and how the use of better technology can improve the way fires are fought and prevented. King explained how he's created wildfire risk maps to change city codes for development in wildland-urban interface areas.
Risk mapping lets you simulate a disaster without actually having to go through the disaster. It lets us informs us on how to implement our codes, our wildland-urban interface codes. It tells us the effectiveness of risk reduction strategies such as vegetation management. It provides us information on how to protect critical infrastructure like water systems or communication systems. And then the technology is changing and will continue to change. For example, there's a lot of studies being done right now on ember transport, especially from structures. And so risk mapping ultimately will incorporate those that new science and technologies to help us grow as the science becomes available.
As an example, King said after developing a risk map for the areas around Wenatchee following the 2015 Sleepy Hollow fire, local fire agencies are now working on a comprehensive risk map for all of Chelan County. King's testimony was in support of an effort by Senator Cantwell to pass legislation that she sponsored to give firefighters access to that new technology. Also over the weekend, Grant County Sheriff's Department reports the death of a Wilson Creek man in a one-car accident. It happened yesterday afternoon. He's been identified as 47-year-old Thomas Beanstra, who was declared dead at the scene after he crashed his Dodge Challenger sometime late Saturday afternoon on Road Q Northwest, again just outside of Wilson Creek, you can see on the map. Sheriff Tom Jones reports Beanstra was traveling at a high rate of speed when he lost control of the vehicle before it struck an embankment and then rolled over onto its top. In another accident, 6 people were injured yesterday, actually, in a 2-car accident in Soap Lake. That crash closed State Route 17 for several hours. State troopers reported it happened when 2 vehicles collided at the intersection of State Routes 17 and 28. A pretty notorious intersection there. Shortly before 6 p.m. Saturday when the accident occurred, 6 people, all from the Puget Sound area, were transported to Columbia Basin Hospital for treatment. 1 was in critical condition. Troopers say charges are pending for failure to yield in that accident. Also, a groundbreaking ceremony Friday afternoon in Wenatchee officially sets in motion construction of our new Hilton Hotel along the city's Riverside Drive. Project architect Art Wuwv was there, and he explained what the new hotel has to offer.
Some of the facts about the project are it's a 4-story hotel. It's got 176 rooms. It's got a large conferencing center for 100+ people for events and weddings and other events. It's got a full-service restaurant. It has a bar. It's really kind of a unique product for this area. It's going to service a lot of people, not just the guests. It's a great kind of synergy with the marketplace, with the edges, and it's respectful of the river. It's respectful of downtown, and I just think it's going to be a real success for the developer and the city.
Fun event Friday afternoon that NCW Live covered, along with Grant Olson and Uriah Darby. Construction of that Hilton Garden Inn begins immediately on the 3-acre site. It's located on that vacant property formerly owned by the city, right just north of the Pybus Market. and they're saying that it'll take between 16 and 18 months to complete. The new Hilton Garden Inn coming to Wenatchee.
You think the businesses at the Pybus and the businesses downtown are excited for this?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was over at the Glaze Bakery in East Wenatchee yesterday, and I was talking to the owner there, and I was mentioning to him because they also have another little store down here at the Riverside Drive Apartments. And I was saying, boy, you must be excited about getting the new Hilton Inn. And he says, oh, absolutely. They can't wait. They can't wait for that to happen.
You took your glasses off. You mind?
Go ahead.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, they're something less than Coke bottles, but you know. It's an age thing. What can I say? You know?
No, I wouldn't know. You're as young as you feel. Don't forget our newscast, Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock here on the NCW Live channel with Grant Olson in the anchor chair. Big meeting tomorrow with the Chelan County Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, we're finally going to get a set of rules for the marijuana growers and processors here in Chelan County, and the final public hearing on those new zoning regulations goes to the public hearing tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the Chelan County Commissioners' Chambers here in Wenatchee.
I've had a couple of people on my personal Facebook post to ask, are the Apple Sox going to play tonight? If you don't know, Apple Sox are out of the playoffs. They cannot make the playoffs, but they still have one more regular season game to play. And they're taking on Corvallis because it does affect Corvallis's playoff position. So my understanding is, regardless of the air quality, they have to play tonight. They have to play tonight because there's this bizarre playoff scenario that if they don't play tonight, there's just no way it works. The playoffs begin tomorrow. So my understanding is, regardless of the air quality, there'll be baseball at Paul Thomas Senior Field tonight.
But there's, they're going to play a role as a spoiler.
Yeah,
so hopefully they can.
Who knows? And again, no rain.
End it on a happy note.
What's that?
End the season on a happy note.
Yeah, always. It was a good year. It was a much better year for the Apple Sox than last year.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of parity in that league, though.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of good talent. Kyle Krustangle, the new manager of the Apple Sox, is a good baseball guy. He's gonna be around for a while. I hope he is anyway, because he knows what he's doing. No doubt about that. Yeah, don't forget about our news, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday, with our very own Grant Olson.
And, of course, we always direct you to our website, ncwlife.com, and our Facebook and Twitter accounts as well. So check that out for the latest breaking news.
47 minutes after the hour. Can you stick around at the top of the hour?
Sure.
We talked about sports. We talked about Apple Sox. This playoff scenario is long and complicated, and we'll fill you in when we come back with sports. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley.
Mariners are still in the mix.
Yeah. What's that? What? We'll be right back after this.
Golf the way it should be at the Kaler Glen Golf and Ski Resort at beautiful Lake Wenatchee. With water, wildlife, towering pines, their signature driving range, and lush green grass, you don't have to be good to play Kaler Glen, just be prepared to have fun. And the Kaler Glen Golf Special is the way to do just that. On Wednesdays, you can golf 18 holes with a cart for just $25. It's the NCW Life Channel Special, exclusively at the Kaler Glen Golf and Ski Resort.
It's just high school. Come join us.
Minutes after the hour, live from Studio 7 here in downtown Wenatchee. Dan Kuntz alongside Steve Harris. Sports, it's all about baseball, of course. For the Wenatchee Apple Sox, no postseason this year. Yesterday was a wild day. Yesterday was supposed to be the final day of the West Coast League. Lots of different playoff scenarios were all on the line yesterday. The key games in the North Division ended up in walk-offs. Bellingham knocked off the Apple Sox 5-4 in a crazy game yesterday. The Bells and Lefties, they both won, and that eliminated Wenatchee. That sets up the makeup game between Corvallis and Wenatchee at Paul Thomas Senior Field today. That wraps up the regular season. Now, it doesn't mean anything for the Wenatchee Apple Sox. They are not going to make the playoffs. But if Corvallis beats Wenatchee, that means Victoria and Bellingham would tie for first place in the second half, and Victoria advances to play Kelowna in the WCL Division Series based on owning the second half in-division winning percentage tiebreaker with Bellingham. Did you get all that, Steve?
I think I got it.
Now, the Bells would
that was an
advance
error-filled
if the
game.
Apple Sox beat the Knights, as the Bells own the North's three-way tiebreaker between Bellingham, Victoria, and Wenatchee. So Wenatchee can't finish tied for first, but they can't make the playoffs because they don't win in the tie-breaking scenario. It's very, very crazy. Yakima Valley, by the way, has punched their ticket to the playoffs as well. And if Corvallis wins, that means Corvallis wins the North, wins the South Division, both halves.
Oh, okay.
So that means this team with the second overall record, which would be Yakima Valley, makes the playoffs. Is any of this making sense to you?
Knock them off, Sox. That's all I can say.
There you go. So basically, they got walked off in a very dramatic game yesterday, the Wenatchee Apple Sox did, but they came up on the short end of the stick against Bellingham. The final was 5-4 after winning 11-1 the day before. So for the Wenatchee Apple Sox, one more game tonight, Paul Thomas Senior Field. It is Host Family Appreciation Night. They bring all the host families out onto the field, and they get to see their players one last time before they head back to college and whatever else they're going to do. And also those classic Wenatchee Chiefs jerseys. They've been wearing a couple of times this year. Have you seen those?
I have, yeah.
They're going to auction those off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're going to sell them all so you can walk out of there with a Wenatchee Chiefs jersey. And again, to my knowledge, because there are even though Wenatchee is not in the playoffs, Corvallis and Wenatchee have to play a game tonight, I think, regardless of the air conditions. Can they move it inside? Can they move it into the Smith Gymnasium?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'd love to see that.
Any ball that hits the wall is an automatic two-run double. I can see that as well. By the way, yesterday in the West Coast League, here are your finals. We'll go through those. Port Angeles knocked off Victoria. Can you believe that? 17-16 in 11 innings. The teams combined for 38 hits.
Whoa.
I wonder how long it took them to play that game. Corvallis knocked off Yakima Valley, Cowlitz over Bend, and Walla Walla over Kelowna. There are your standings, and as you can see, very tightly bunched, as you mentioned, Steve, in the first half of the deal. Wenatchee, Corvallis, one more game tonight. The Mariners, doubleheader. Did you watch both games?
No, I didn't watch either game, but I heard it on the radio.
Okay, good for you. That's the way to enjoy baseballs on the radio. Of course, they were rained out on Saturday, so they had a doubleheader yesterday, a true doubleheader.
Nelson Cruz had quite a game.
Nelson Cruz had a good game. Good game all the way for the Mariners on game one. They win 8-7. Nelson Cruz, 2 homers. Danny Valencia, Kyle Seager homered. Seattle beats KC, as you see there, 8-7. Cruz 3 for 5 with 4 ribbies. But the Mariners used 8 pitchers.
I was going to say they had a 7-1 lead at one time.
Right, and Kansas City scored a couple of late runs, made it 8-7 late in the game, but the Mariners hold on. But the problem is when you use 8 pitchers in one game, you don't have any for the second game.
Yeah, and what was the final score of the second game?
They got crushed 9-1. Even though some pretty good defense, Seattle had some pretty good defense, but they just were playing out of gas. That's all there was to it. Seattle is off today. They begin a 3-game series in Oakland tomorrow.
But they're still in the hunt for a wild card spot. What are they, about a game and a half back?
Game and a half back remember, there's 2 wild cards, a game and a half back of the second wild card standings in the American League. Elsewhere, here are your finals, by the way, yesterday in the American League West. Minnesota knocks off Texas. Houston defeats Toronto in a crazy game. Toronto had it all wrapped up. Houston came back with a very dramatic victory. Oakland defeats the LA Angels. There are your standings. Houston's going to win the division. There's no doubt about that. 15-game lead over the second place Seattle Mariners. The Mariners are a game and a half out of the wild card. The Angels are 3 games back. Texas is 4.5 back. Oakland is making their tee times.
And the Mariners made some roster moves, too.
They did? Oh, do you have that for me?
Picked up the all-star first baseman from the Oakland A's.
Yes.
I forget his name, but apparently he comes in with 22 home runs, and so he's going to help out the offense, which really doesn't need that much help right now.
No, offense is fine. The defense is good. It's pitching.
It's that relief pitching.
Yeah, relief pitching is killing them right now. So.
By the way, did you see the track and field meet yesterday?
No.
Usain Bolt, 100-yard Olympic champion, lost in his farewell race.
Oh, okay.
And he was beaten. He came in 3rd place with 2 Americans coming in 1st and 2nd.
Oh, okay. Where was that at? Where was it held at?
I don't recall where the meet
was. It here in town?
But it was Usain Bolt's farewell race.
Okay. So, but it wasn't here in town? Because I would have gone to that.
I would have gone.
I would have gone to that.
Yeah.
So, one more golf note while you and I are at it. The PGA Championship is this week in Charlotte. Charlotte, North Carolina is where the PGA Championship will be held.
Quail Hollow, I think.
I can't remember the name of the course. So, if Jordan Spieth wins, of course, he won the Open Championship over in Merriot, England last month. If Jordan Spieth wins, he will complete the career Grand Slam.
The career Grand Slam.
Which is a remarkable achievement for a kid that young.
Oh, absolutely. 23?
So, huh?
23?
23, yeah. He just had his 23rd birthday just a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
So, I'll be keeping a close eye on that. Today's National Lighthouse Day. Did you know that?
Oh, it is?
Yes, it's National Lighthouse Day. That's the best photo I could find of lighthouses. It was on August 7, 1789, through an act of Congress, the federal government took over responsibility for building and maintaining our nation's lighthouses.
And there was only one actually manned White House that the Coast Guard operates back in Maine. And my cousin actually manned that White House.
Really?
The lighthouse, rather, for a while.
The lighthouses aren't used anymore because of radar and GPS.
True.
But they're still cool.
Yeah.
They're still really cool. And in their time, who
Still
knows?
useful.
Yeah, but they just don't use them anymore because, they're out there, they work, but the GPS and radar has made lighthouses, well, they don't use them anymore, quite frankly. But they're still cool. And back in their day, they saved any number of ships and lives, no doubt about that. National Lighthouse Day, by the way, is always August 7th.
Make a contribution to the lighthouse.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's a smart, good for you. Good idea, Steve. Did you know that today is the anniversary of the Purple Heart?
I didn't know that.
Yep, there's the Purple Heart. George Washington, he called it the badge of military merit to honor soldiers wounded in battle. It was named later on the Purple Heart, which is quite frankly a better name. George Washington himself created the award. He's on the award. You know how many Purple Hearts we've handed out?
I give up.
Just short of 2 million so far.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of injuries.
Yeah, that's a lot of injuries. And today is also the 53rd anniversary of the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, when the United States Congress said, okay, President Johnson, do whatever you want.
Yeah, and
so
he did.
They abdicated their responsibility, because I'm pretty good at the Constitution. President can't declare war, Supreme Court can't declare war, you and I can't declare war, only the Congress can declare war. So they declared war without declaring war, and they gave Lyndon Johnson a rubber stamp to do whatever he wanted to do, the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, the turning point in the Vietnam War. I can't wait for the Ken Burns film next month.
Yeah, on Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm
that'll be
very
a great documentary.
looking forward to that.
Although yesterday was another landmark day in history. It's the
Yesterday.
Hiroshima Day.
Was what? I'm sorry?
Yesterday was Hiroshima Day.
Oh, that's right. That's right. One more thing on Today in History. Steve, I know you remember this. This is the guy who walked between the World Trade Center. He did this 43 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
He was arrested for trespassing because they actually had to sneak up there and do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. You should watch the documentary.
I have a picture of a friend of mine who actually did a free jump off of the South Tower.
Really?
Yeah, and he had a picture of himself. This was back 30, 40 years ago. Well, actually not that long, but I remember seeing the picture of him launching off the tower with a parachute.
Was he arrested?
He was arrested.
Of course. Well, they arrested him too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But the judge had a good sense of humor. Don't do that again, is what he said. Happy birthday to Don Larson. He's your favorite Yankee pitcher, isn't he?
Not quite, no.
What?
No. Famous for his perfect game against the Dodgers. When
Game
was it?
5.
What year was that?
1956, October 8th, 1956, of course. The only perfect game in World Series history, one of only 2 no-hitters in postseason history.
Who won that series?
The Yankees did. Who won that series?
Was it the year before that the Dodgers won it?
Yes.
55.
Dodgers won in 55. Yankees got
was their
revenge in
first.
56. That's right. So your Dodgers are playing really good baseball, I have to tell you.
They're doing well.
Yeah.
They're doing well.
That's all about October. So,
as we know.
Also, a happy 75th birthday to Garrison Keillor. There he is, Prairie Home Companion. The show is no longer on the air. I think their final episode was like last year. Was that right?
Lake Wobegon.
Yes. He's also a really good short story writer. Most people associate him with the Prairie Home Companion, but his writings are really good.
I've not read any of his
You should check it out. You should look it up. And hello, Newman. Wayne Wright celebrates a birthday today.
Hello, Newman.
Yeah, Newman. 62 years old today.
Funny guy.
Oh, yeah. All he does now is pretty much voice actor work. You don't see him on TV, but he's making a lot of money doing voiceover work. And a woman who does not return my phone calls celebrates a birthday today because of the restraining order. Here she is, Charlize Theron is 42 years old today. Happy birthday to Charlie. Sorry about the restraining order. Got just about a minute left. Once again, we're very proud of our newscast. Check it out Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock with Grant Olson in the anchor chair. We have a very busy, very exciting fall sports high school schedule. We're going to be covering 31 different high school events involving Eastmont and Wenatchee High School all this autumn.
All sports all the time.
Yes, and it's we're creeping up on September. September 1st is the opening day of the high school football season.
So they're probably doing the training right now.
No, they don't start for a
how's
couple
that
weeks.
training? How's the weather affecting that?
Well, they don't start for a couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
Everybody, have yourself a great Monday. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll do better tomorrow, I promise. Take care. Bye-bye.